Um, Hi. Um, I have to always bring things back into focus because sometimes if I listen to people, I'll get lost. Um, there's a lot of social experiments going on. There are my social experiments and there are some people of their own social experiments that has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with my mindset, nothing to do with my stature. Um, Even things that happen for me and like the mistakes that I make. Um, I again was talking about the documentaries, the op-eds that I had been watching, and um the studies on cancer, the studies on diabetes, the studies on obesity, the studies on hypersexuality, the studies on drug usage, immunizations, being medicated the wrong way, the studies on date rape, the studies on what sexual assault is for men and women, and so on and so forth, and what that means, even methods on how you handle things. The study on AI generation for pornography and AI generation for what it means to become sexually attractive. Um, I have not talked about my religion. As a person who has personally studied it themselves, I talked about catfishing. You can catfish so many things now. You can catfish a lifestyle if you want. And there was a man. He was like, yeah, when the bombs went off, so he started making accusatory status about pyromania and being an arsonist, which anybody could be an arsonist. There are people who do experiments all the time, blowing random shit up. If they're drunk in the middle of America, blowing up a trash can if they wanted to, blowing up a tire if they wanted to, blowing up, somebody's car if they wanted to, and they don't necessarily have to be Muslim and be a terrorist. The U.S. bombs people all the time. Like obviously they invade other countries for their resources. I would say that I'm going through a spiritual affliction of being bombarded by the anti versions of whatever people you would say spiritually are afflicted with, like spirits, negative spirits, all of the spiritual elemental areas of like what it meant. And that's personal because everybody has free will to believe what they want. And there are people now that do mince things up. There's only one God. So in Islam they teach you there's one God. And even the fact of monotheism means that there's one God. And there are monotheistic religions. There are polytheistic religions and then there are monotheistic religions. And the monotheistic ones are usually like Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and Mormonism, because it all falls in line. All of it falls in line with the same history of one another. And it mentions the one creator, the one God. And there are some people that you see a lot of brown people or African American people as well who are either Christian or they're Muslim. And yes, it's true. There's even a sunnah. It's like, I am not perfect. Islam is. If I make a mistake, please blame me. Don't blame my religion. And it also denotes to our humanity, which means that as humans, we're gonna do things in life, no matter what kind of human you are. There's no separation, segregation. No matter what kind of human you are, we're going to do things. Some of us are going to make really big mistakes. Some of us are going to not make big mistakes. Some of us are going to gain things off of merit. And that may have something to do with our skin color. It may not. Some of us will be denied merit. That may have something to do with our skin color. It may not. That may have something to do with our sex, our physical sex or not. And there are many feminists who grew up in like America, and they were saying, oh yeah, I hate these religions, these patriarchal monotheistic religions, because they don't honor women. And so there's so many different struggles that people face. But it's true, when people make mistakes, maybe you could, okay, so I'm going to be honest. Everybody wants me to be honest. They're like, tell the truth, be honest. There are people who are supposed to be Muslim. They're not practicing. They forgot the whole religion. And it brings us back to one of the stories of Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's a biblical context that's under like God. But all these people did was smoke, drink, and sleep with people that they weren't supposed to sleep with. They slept with their daughters. They slept with animals. They slept with women and men. Hence why the whole LGBTQ thing became inappropriate. They slept with whoever they felt that it was best for them who they wanted to sleep with, out of pleasure, out of drunkenness, out of drugs, out of whatever, you name it. And so even today, when you go around in the Muslim community, there was a girl that I used to hang out with. We're not as close anymore, but she did remind me some very important things. And she said it right. She was saying like, yeah, I love this guy. She wanted to marry a guy. She's like, I love this guy, but he's smoking. She's Muslim. He's Muslim too. He's an Arab Muslim. She was a Latina girl as well, or supposed to be a Latin girl, or wherever they're from. She said he was Arab. She said she was Latin. And she was like, I love this guy. I want to marry him so much, but he keeps smoking. And she personally kept saying, I want to take it seriously. Like, I want to take my religion seriously. I don't know, I want to take it. I want to honor the religion. And so there's a lot of Muslim people that do things that they're not supposed to do. It's true. And so they're like, yeah, you think you guys are innocent. The guy in this video that I'm watching on the Dean show, you can reference it yourselves and based off of this video. And I have to find the title of the video so that I could tell you. But you could find it about a group of Muslims outside of a mosque or a church. And he's Christian and he's telling them to repent. There are people in the Muslim community, some of them who are trying to stay on Deen. They used to talk all the time because I used to hang out in those communities. They used to say all the time, bro, you know that you're supposed to be on Deen. You know you're not supposed to be drinking. You know you're not supposed to be sleeping with anybody in a haram relationship. You know you're not supposed to be having sex outside of marriage. You know you're not supposed to be getting with that girl. You know you're not supposed to be smoking. You're not supposed to be drinking, but you're still doing all of that. You know that you're supposed to be following these rules and you keep rejecting it. And obviously we have free will, so none of us can be perfect. But I think the worst of worst, any person that is supposed to be Muslim, is if you rape your wife, you're smoking and drinking like crazy, you beat the shit out of her because you're embarrassed about the type of man that you are, and you're just gonna try to cover it and keep it a secret. You feel all of this social shame. And you're supposed to be representing Muslims. You're supposed to be representing people who believe in God and want peace. You are causing all this chaos within your own group of people. And Islam is not a race. Islam is a religion. So there are many different people from different backgrounds who are Muslim. And you're supposed to be representing that ummah in belief of God, and you're not that. So you seem like a counterfeit inside of a religion. You seem like, and I hate these videos. I love the idea of people reverting to Islam to better themselves for real. But if you come into it as a snake, as a serpent, the way that the serpent came to fucking Eve to disrupt the peace that's supposed to be created, then I think you're absolutely bonkers. And sending mixed messages like that is weird.